welcome back or welcome to my channel. I have no idea what day of Vlogmas this will be going up. I decided that on top of Vlogmas, I wanted to still incorporate book videos or other types of videos if I had any that I wanted to film. Incorporate them into Vlogmas on days that I don't have any vlog footage. It is crazy this year to think this is the first Christmas I'm filming in my house, let alone filming with the backdrop of a Christmas tree is insane. So I'm very excited to have this as my backdrop for a while. So let's get started with what I've read this month. I didn't read a crazy amount this month. I read 3 books and started one and continued another, but I'll get into that later on. This is in no particular order, but I'm going to start off with I'm Glad My Mum Died by Jeanette McCurdy. This book has been everywhere since it's been released. So many people have been talking about it and I picked it up. I didn't pick it up as a hard copy because at the time it came out it just kept selling out, so there was none in stock near me. So I have an audiobook app which I use. It's called Scribbled. I love it. It's so good. It offers so many books to read on there. It's just different. You're paying less in comparison to somewhere like Audible and you're actually getting more for your money, so that's just really good. So I started reading it on there, which is even better because Jeanette McCurdy is the one doing the audiobook. So I really enjoyed that. I read most of it through the audiobook just because I loved hearing her read it, but I also read obviously the hardcover afterwards. I think I finished with the hardcover, but it was just a really good book. Rachel Catherine is another booktuber that I watch. Something that stuck out to me was when she reads biographies, she always comments on how she does not want to rate them. And I really respect that because at the end of the day, these types of books or this genre of book are literally a person's life. So you can't really rate it. But the only thing I would say is that within biography, obviously you can rate the style of writing, not the life story. So when I say I gave this book a 5 stars, it's because I thoroughly enjoyed her writing style. In terms of her life, it is insane and I would never ever put a rating on that. But in terms of her writing style, I would give it a 5 stars. I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed reading it. Obviously, it's a terrible book and it brings to light so many things, especially in the acting industry, that are not talked about enough, especially with child actors. So it was just really insightful to read this book and I would recommend it to anyone. Would definitely recommend it as a Christmas present. Moving on to the next 2 books. It is part of a series. I started the Off-Campus series by Elle Kennedy. I will admit it took me a long time to get into it. Before I read this book, saw how it was raved about by so many people and I was like, I don't think I'm gonna get into this. It just doesn't seem my type. The cover kept throwing me off, but it came into Australia and then I was like, you know what, I'll try it. I waited because the price of it was pretty expensive. I caved in and got it. Let me tell you, I'm glad I did. I rated this book a 5 stars. The Deal is the first book in the Off-Campus series. I believe there is 5 books in the series and then there's a spin-off series as well. The Deal is about Hannah and Garrett. Hannah is a very studious student, very smart. She's a very good singer, so she goes to Briar U because she has a full music scholarship. Whereas Garrett, he gets good grades and he loves hockey. That's kind of his thing to do. However, at class they share a philosophy class, I believe. He failed the exam along with many other students. And so Hannah was one of the few that passed it. Basically, you follow the story of Garrett trying to convince Hannah to help him study for this exam. You follow their relationship kind of thing. You kind of know where this is going. But it's very interesting because even when you read the back of this book, the blurb of this book, you don't actually know their stories and you don't know what Hannah's been through and you don't know what Garrett's been through. So not only are you watching these 2 characters come together, you're also following their storyline. I fell in love with the characters. Not necessarily the plot, but also I felt nostalgic reading the kind of plot, especially in this book. I just feel like it's your stereotypical high school American or college American movie, but it was just so wholesome to read. Obviously, things that went on in the book weren't necessarily wholesome, but it was just really fun to read. And so I would definitely recommend reading it, even if you're just looking for something to read that you don't have to think about so much. Like in comparison to ACOTAR, you kind of have to be in tune with what you're reading 24/7, whether with this, I sometimes zoned out for a couple sentences, came back in and knew where I was. That's what I'm kind of saying when I mean if you want like a light read, this is what I would recommend. Which then leads me on to the second book. This is The Mistake, the second book in the off-campus series. This follows Logan and Grace. Logan is Garrett's best friend, and Logan is also another hockey player. So he is a player, someone who is really trying to make the most of his college experience, which I won't elaborate on because you find out in the book why he's trying to make the most of it. Grace is a freshman. They accidentally run into each other, and then it kind of goes from there. Yeah, you'll obviously read about Logan basically messes up with Grace and spends half the book trying to get her back. So that's what you kind of come and read, and I kind of loved it because I was egging on Logan. I gave this book a 5 stars as well, but if I could choose between the two I've read so far, I would definitely choose The Mistake, just because I fell in love with Logan and Grace a little bit more. I think more because their storyline was a little bit different to what I've read before. Yeah, it was just a bit unique, and I kind of really enjoyed it. I didn't know how I'd feel about it, because after reading Hannah and Garrett's story, I was like, nothing can compare, but definitely can compare. So I'm very excited to read the next book in the series, which is The Score, and then the other two are The Goal and The Legacy. I stupidly asked for the last 3 for Christmas from my nan, which is not stupid because it's great. I don't have to spend that money, but I went shopping with her when she got them because obviously she didn't know what she was looking for, and obviously I did not realize how far away we still were from Christmas. So I cannot read the next one in the series because I won't be able to get it, but at least I've got some summer reads, which is really good. But yeah, I would recommend this series. I'm not a big fan of the covers though, so I will be devastated when there is a rerun of covers, because if there is ever a rerun of covers, because I am not one of those people that buys new covers to replace old covers. So moving on to the last 2 books I have to show you today is Love on the Brain by Ali Hazelwood. I think I've mentioned it in a TBR haul that I really wanted to read this book. I have started it. I'm about 50 pages in and I just can't get into it. I just don't know if it's this time of year or because I have my head in another romance series, or it's the style of writing. But in comparison to The Love Hypothesis, I just really think there is a lot more focus on STEM, which, don't get me wrong, I really enjoyed that in The Love Hypothesis. I really enjoyed the plot of it, but at the same time I feel like this is a little bit overbearing. I don't know how to describe it to you. I think what makes it worse is that I don't understand STEM. I'm not a STEM student. I've never done a STEM subject. So I think it is a little bit harder to comprehend. And look, I could be completely wrong. Some of you might even be in the same position as me where you've never done anything to do with STEM in your life and you're probably sitting there going, Sarah, it's really not bad. Like, chill out. I just can't get into it. So I've kept my bookmark in it. I haven't DNF'd it. I think I'll leave it and probably come back to it at another point in time. For now, I just can't. And then the final book I'm going to talk about in today's video is A Court of Silver Flames by Sarah J. Maas. It is the 4th book in the series of ACOTAR. However, it is the second. I don't know how to describe it because technically the ACOTAR series is a trilogy, and then she has written 2 additional books. However, these are based on different characters, not Feyre, which Feyre is the main character in the first 3. A Court of Frost and Starlight is the 4th book, which is kind of just like a ribbon on top of the trilogy. It follows Feyre, but it also is a multiple perspective kind of book, and I did enjoy that. A lot of people found it like and it was nothing crazy, but for me, it was kind of one of those fill-in books to separate from the trilogy and move on to the next books, like A Court of Silver Flames, because the main character we're following is Nestor and Cassian. However, you're still following the plot that was left off from the trilogy, but it's a different perspective. It's the 2 other characters. It's not Feyre, it's not Rysand, it's not anyone like that. So I do enjoy the fact, what I love the most about this book is that it's still following the plot from the previous books. I am enjoying it. The smut is a bit much at points, but at the same time, I can read through it. I'm not too bad with it. So this is kind of my big goal for the year. This is my one and only book for my TBR for December. If I can finish it this month and finish the whole ACOTAR series this year, I will be super duper proud of myself. but we will honestly see how we go. But yeah, this is the last one for now. I know she has 5 other books or 4 other books she wants to write for this series, so it's definitely not the end of this series, but she obviously hasn't announced any new ones coming out. So for now, this is the last of the series, so I will be sad when it's over, but I'm ready to get it done. Yeah, that's kind of what I read in November. And this month, if I do finish A Call to Silver Flames, I will definitely be reading the off-campus series. That will kind of be my reading for the next 2 months. And also I asked for the Briar U series. So this is the off-campus series, but then I also asked for the Briar U series, which involves the chase, the risk, the play, and the dare. And I was talking to one of my friends, Leah. Shout out to Leah if you're watching this. But she loved the Briar U series over the off-campus series. She said it was just much more fun to read. So it'll be interesting to see which one I like better, but I'm very excited to read it. And at this point, I think I'll be having to get another bookshelf because I already know one series that I want to complete next year. That is my main goal, and it will take up almost a whole shelf. Very excited to see how we go with all of that. But I hope you all enjoyed this video. If there are any book videos you'd love me to film, please let me know in the comments down below. I'm open to suggestions, but I will see you all in my next Vlogmas video tomorrow. Goodbye, guys.